I'm like every human alive. I grew up on Saturday Night Live and was helplessly in love with it. But I think there was a moment early on where they started showing bumpers, and in between the sketches or on the way to commercial, and for just like 3 seconds, you would see the crew. You would see the people moving the flats. You'd see them moving the cameras, and I remember even as a kid going, "Wait, who were they? How are they doing this?" And I remember the moment my dad told me, they do this every Saturday. And I just thought that was exceptional. And Gil and I had been talking about, frankly, doing a movie that happens in real time for a long time. And I think that was on our minds. It was certainly on my mind as a director. And one day it just hit me, the 90 minutes leading up to the first time anyone ever said "Live from New York" at Saturday night.
Now, I don't want to gloss over the fact, though, that you yourself, and this probably contributed to your interest in this, you had been in the belly of the beast, right? You had gotten after your kind of rise to prominence, in part with Juno. You had a lot of things
Yeah,
you
I
could
got
do.
to be a guest writer there once, but I honestly actually don't think that has anything to do
No?
with that.
No?
No, not really. No, it works great as a great press story, but
I fell for it.
ta-da! So, but the truth is that I grew up on the trucks.
Yeah.
I grew up on sets. I grew up around people who make things for a living and who create things, and from the moment I can remember, I was obsessed with this idea that you wake up at the crack of dawn and you go to set and you make something. And with Saturday Night Live, there was these people who, on Tuesday they start with nothing, and by Saturday they have a finished show. And Gil and I really wanted to tell a story that happened narratively in real time with a large ensemble of characters. Like, this is something that we had already been kind of batting around, and then it just kind of hit us. It was like, oh, opening night of SNL. And if we capture the energy of what it feels like in that room right before it goes live, this kind of dance, and that led to a writing process that was like writing a musical, because we were writing these choreographed dance numbers in which characters are interacting, and everything had to be there on the page from moment one, as far as who was in each scene, how they interacted, and how we track 30 character arcs over the course of a film.
Gil, can you talk about some of the research that the two of you did, where it's not just relying on existing material, but you did some reporting, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was a totally different process for us. Like, obviously, most of the time when Jason and I write together, it's like we're creating with a blank page, and it's figuring out what the coolest like ghost freak out moment we could have, or we're basically playing. I mean, a lot of our writing actually before this started out with us almost like kids on the carpet, like playing with an absolute open horizon. And here we were dealing with a moment in time that actually happened. We started with a phone call with Lorne Michaels, where we were really just kind of starting to feel this idea out, and we pitched him a kind of a very, very loose sense of what we were hoping to do. And that conversation was actually really pivotal, because Lorne gave us his blessing, and it kind of allowed us to then start to reach out to all the other folks who were there that night. And what's cool about the process for us, and what was unique in our writing experience, is that we sort of allowed every one of these conversations to lead us down the path to where the next conversations would go. And we started to build out this map of characters, of 90 minutes across this studio and just outside of it, and we started to kind of get a feel for how the narrative could kind of lead us through not just the 80 characters that we meet in this movie and the 30 sort of central players in this, but also the building itself. How do we start to tell the story of Saturday night being sort of being created out of the ether? And it was a unique experience, and we really felt like we were sort of one part journalists, a little bit documentarians, and then we got to throw all that stuff away and tell a good story, and that was the process.
Now, when you have